Good morning. So just one slide, and it's what we're going to be doing today. So I am Stephen Kimmelman with Intrasys. We are the makers of TurboCourt. Happy to be showing you the software that Connecticut's going to be using starting in a few weeks. So George really covered most of the overview of what this pilot's about. I'll cover a couple of other details or just reiterate a few things. It's often helpful to hear things more than once, at least for me. And I'll also talk about best practices for your law firms in terms of how best to use TurboCourt. And then we'll jump into a full-on demonstration, how to get your firm registered, how to add users and manage those users, how to initiate cases in probate court, initiating documents, how to file additional documents into your existing cases, how to get access to those documents, how to get access to all of your case documents, messaging now coming back from the court, notices, all of that's going to be electronic. So I'll show you that, and other ways of sort of tips and tricks for working with the software. And you can ask questions at any point. If it's something that's pertinent to what I'm talking about and it's a burning question, feel free to just ask. If I've got my head sort of in the computer and I don't see your hand raised and you really want to ask the question, just speak out, it's fine. And we can do more questions at the end as well. This is slated to go, I think, until 12:30 total. So it's a surprise to somebody. Let's see. So we will take a short break right around 11:40 thereabouts, because I'm gonna have to feed my meter. Apparently it's 2-hour parking where I parked. That being said, first of all, like, who are you? So if you're an attorney, can you raise your hand so I can see who's here? And okay, great, thank you very much. And if you are a paralegal, legal assistant, some in that realm, great. Hi there. And if you haven't raised your hand, who are you? What do you do? Anybody not yet raised their hand and willing to speak up? Oh, welcome. Okay, let's take a look at the software and talk about what your very near future is going to look like. So, as George mentioned, this pilot begins May 1st. You've got 5 courts you're going to be able to file into for this pilot. It starts off with decedent matters only, but then in the next phase, it'll expand to all other probate matters and other functionality. There aren't going to be, in this initial pilot phase, there isn't going to be the ability to pay fees online. In the next phase, there will be, and all of the capabilities that provides for inefficiencies. And so I just want to talk about, just jump right into best practices for your law firm and the way TurboCourt is set up. So you're going to register your firm with TurboCourt. That's the very first thing you're going to do. And you can have anybody in your firm do this. The person, and I'll demonstrate all of this in just a moment, the person who is setting up your firm becomes your firm's first user in TurboCourt, which means they're also given, immediately they're given all of the administrative access roles. There's 3 different administrative roles in TurboCourt, and I'll be talking about them and demonstrating them a little bit as well. You can have many people in your firm be in these administrative roles, so you're not limited. So you can assign lots of people to be company administrators and filing administrators and so forth, okay? So you're gonna register your firm, that person becomes the first user, and then they can start adding other users within your firm to your firm's TurboCourt account, okay? And the reason you want to do it this way, as opposed to each attorney having their own completely separate TurboCourt account, is because you're going to be able to share information about your cases in your filings because you're all under one account. So, for example, if you've got multiple attorneys working on the same cases or the same for the same clients, or you've got, obviously paralegals, legal assistants as well. If you have separate accounts, you're not going to be able to see each other's filings and what's going on with them, because as far as TurboCourt is concerned, you're two completely separate entities. So you want just one law firm account and then everybody within that account. So if you need to have access to each other's filings and cases and so forth, this will allow you to do that, including the sharing of and the seeing of messages, courtesy updates, things like that that are coming back from the court automatically through TurboCourt. It'll be shared. Okay. So I guess the bottom line is, don't set up your separate TurboCourt accounts in your firm. You won't like that approach, and then you'll be calling us saying, "Is there any way we can merge those accounts?" And so there you go. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and begin creating a brand new law firm account. And so what we're looking at right now is the TurboCourt Filer portal. This is web-based. You can access this from anywhere, including a tablet, for example. This is a testing and a training environment, in case it wasn't readily obvious by the large red warning sign there. But it looks very similar to what you're going to encounter when you go to production. Okay. If Connecticut is not currently showing as your jurisdiction, you'll see there's a couple different areas where there is a change jurisdiction link, and then you simply click on that and navigate so that you're at Connecticut. All right, so to create my account, actually let me go full screen there. There's a sign up button. I'll simply click on that, and it's going to ask me for my name. So, standard functionality. If the field has an asterisk, it's required. If there's no asterisk, it's optional. Now, it's very, very important that if you are an attorney and you are registering with TurboCourt, whether you're the person who's doing this right now, setting up your firm's account for the first time, whether somebody's adding you as a user to the account, in either situation, attorney's email address that is registered in TurboCourt must match the email address that you have on file with Connecticut e-Services, where your Juris number is. Because the way Connecticut is setting this up is that we need to be able to, TurboCourt needs to be able to verify you through their Juris system before they will let you e-file and access case documents electronically. So your Juris number email address must match your TurboCourt email address. Okay. All right. So the next two fields, security question and answer, are optional. There's no asterisk, but I recommend you use them because this is going to allow you to automatically recover your password if you happen to forget it. And so just select from one of the available security questions and then provide a corresponding response, and then click sign up. Now, if you don't put in your security question and answer right now, that's fine. You can always come back to your profile afterwards and update it. So when I click sign up, I get one additional screen, which is what type of an account do you want to register? And for our purposes, I'm registering as an attorney/law firm. I click continue. And because I made that selection, I have one additional required field, which is what is the name of your law firm. The rest of these fields, as you see, are optional, so I'm going to skip them for right now and just click sign up. And that's it. I just created our firm's TurboCourt account. I've been doing a lot of training in Arizona. They call it AZ TurboCourt there. TurboCourt account, and I am our firm's first user. So it's very quick, it's very easy. So here I am, I'm logged in, and this is my home page. Not much going on right now since I haven't created any filings. Okay, so let's first of all take a look at my profile. And there's a couple different ways you can access your profile. There's a profile button here in the top right. I can click on that. Also, you'll notice there's a user menu on the left-hand side of your screen, and you'll see a link called My Profile there as well. And so I'll click on that right now. And so here is my profile. as you know, I'm a registered user now. We are an attorney/law firm, and my access level, you will see, is first of all user. Everybody that's registered with TurboCourt is given the access level of user, which means you can manage your own account, manage your own profile, and prepare and submit filings if that's part of your job. Because again, I am the first user of our system, I'm the one who actually created our firm's account. By default, I'm given all three administrative access roles: company administrator, filing administrator, and financial administrator. And again, I'm not now obligated to perform all those functions, but somebody has to always have those administrative roles. The person who sets up your firm's account will always have those three roles. And you'll see in just a moment, when I start adding new users, I can give other people these administrative access roles as well. All right, so I don't need to change anything here, but I see the phone number is required, so I'll go ahead and put in a phone number. And if I am an attorney, this is where I want to put in my Juris number. Now, the field says state bar number, but it's your Juris number. And this, again, this Juris number for attorneys is required in order for you to be able to e-file in Connecticut. And you want to have it here in your profile, even though you see it's an optional field, right? If I'm a paralegal, I don't have a Juris number. But as an attorney, you want to put this in your profile because we will save it and store it, and you won't have to keep entering it each time because we'll know who you are. Great. Thanks, Heather. So yeah, it is the individual's Juris number and not your firm's Juris number. And then, of course, the corresponding state would be Connecticut if you're putting in your Juris number. Here, of course, is your security question and answer, as you see. So this is where you could edit it or add it for the first time if you didn't previously do that. And any changes you make to this screen, simply come to the bottom and click on Update. I'll do that now. Now, there's a couple of other things I want to show you in your profile, so I'll return there. This time I'll click on the profile button at the top. So here I am once again. If you ever want to change your password, you'll see in your profile this Request New Password area. Click on that right-facing arrow, and it tells you that you were just sent an email. So just go into that email. There'll be a link. Just click on that link, and you'll be able to very securely and easily change your password. Okay? And then one more time at my profile. Want to bring to your attention that there are two other tabs here. Right now I'm on the General Information tab, but there's also an Email Preferences tab and an SMS Text Notifications tab. So let's talk about messaging that happens in the electronic world with TurboCourt and the Connecticut courts. When you successfully submit a filing electronically into the Connecticut court, you will start receiving automated status updates as to what's going on with that filing. So for example, the very first message you'll get will say something like, "Thank you for submitting your forms to such and such probate court," and then whatever else the rest of that message happens to say. Now, maybe that doesn't seem like a lot of information to you, but if you just submitted your filing at 2 a.m. on a Sunday and there's nobody at the court, that message is telling you they got it, right? Their system was able to successfully consume it. Then down the road, you'll get another message saying your filing has been accepted. Let's say it was for case initiation, you know, here's your new case number, things like that. So you'll get status updates regarding each of your filings, and they're going to come to you electronically, and they're going to appear in your messages inbox in TurboCourt. And there's a lot of different ways you can access these messages, but for example, in the user menu, you'll see this messages link. So that'll be one of the places for you to access these incoming messages. And I'm going to use some terms synonymously. So status updates, notifications, messages, those are all sort of synonymous, although messages actually covers much more than just status updates on your filings, okay? And I say that because the court is going to start communicating with you electronically about these cases that you're electronically filing into. So when you first register, and if you're an attorney, and I'll show you this, if you're an attorney, and you're registering, when you verify your Juris number, the court will automatically send you a complete list of all of your open and closed cases. Okay, that's going to be in your messages box here. Okay, as other documents get posted into that case from opposing counsel, from the court itself, notices, orders, things like that, you're going to get notified electronically now. You're not going to be receiving these notifications and notices and so forth by U.S. mail anymore. It's all going to come to you instantly through this messages inbox. Okay, so, and there's other communications that the court is going to be providing you. Now, back to these two other tabs, email preferences and text notifications. You have the ability to say, and I also want to receive these notifications by email and or by text. Because if you aren't logged in, you may not know that a new order was just posted to the case, right? And so these are the tabs where you can set in your profile your choices. If you want to receive email notification, you have two options here. One is, this second one is selected for you by default. The distinction here is simply how much information is included in the body of the email itself, okay, as opposed to just a link to your filing. So you've got those two choices, but as I said, the second one is selected for you by default. Your third choice is to say, no, I really don't want any more emails in my inbox. I'll just log in regularly to check my website. You may be tempted to do that because Lord knows people's inboxes are usually overfull. But we highly, highly recommend that, at least at the very beginning for sure, that you do receive email notifications, because there's going to be a lot of new information coming to you electronically that you're not used to, but that's important to you. And if you're not regularly checking and logging into TurboCourt, you may miss things. These will come to you automatically and instantly as they're happening with the court. Question? No, it'll, well, there's the subject line and then there's the body of the email. And it really depends on what the message itself is. And I'll show you a couple examples of a couple different emails. So there's typically information including often the case, either a case number or case name, jurisdiction, what we call the form set number, which I'll show you. And so there's ways that you can then use that to filter where those emails are going, things like that. I had a feeling that's where you're going, so yeah. I also just want to briefly bring your attention to these check boxes. These are all of the possible situations where additional emails over and above what I've already shared with you might be sent to you. And I say might be because it depends on the case type. It also depends on the jurisdiction as to whether or not they're going to be triggering messages at these scenarios. But I want to bring a couple of these to your attention in case you're still thinking, no, I really don't want any more email. I'm gonna check this third choice here. And again, it's actually okay that you do that, but at least at the beginning, I want to recommend that you don't. So here's a situation. An error has occurred during the filing of your submission. For some reason, the court wasn't able to consume this filing, okay? Now, you're going to get notified about that if that happens, but let's say it's the end of the day on Friday, you submit your filing, you shut down your computer, you're going home for the weekend, you're maybe not going to log back in until Monday afternoon. If I submitted a filing on Friday and I don't find out until Monday afternoon it never went through, that could be a real problem, right? If I got notified by email or by text, I'm going to be notified immediately that that happened, and then I can jump onto that situation and deal with it, right? So just another reason to get those notifications. And then, like I said, down the road, if you're really an ongoing TurboCourt user all the time, you may want to change your settings. Obviously, you can come to your profile and change them at any time. Okay, but whatever selections you choose here, you'd simply click update. And then you have that similar option for text notifications. If you want to receive these notifications by text, simply put in your cell phone number and we will send a code to your cell phone. There'll be a new field that'll appear on the screen for you to enter in that code that we sent you to verify it. And then from that point forward, you'll receive text notifications as well. And again, if it's at some point you don't want to continue receiving those text notifications, just come back to your profile, remove your phone number from the screen, and you won't get them anymore. But you can still receive the email, for example. Okay? Okay. So that's your profile. The other thing I wanted to point out to you is that your mailing address that apparently is on record with e-services is also used as the mailing address for all of the courts and cases in TurboCourt. And so because I was the person who created our firm's account and I am our first user, I am, as I mentioned, all three administrative roles. And so now let me show you what the company administrator can do so you can add new users, attorneys, paralegals, and so forth, as well as manage your organization's information as a TurboCourt account. So in my user menu, I have that link called My Profile, but I also have a link called My Organization because I'm in one of those administrative roles. Okay, so if I'm just a user of the system and I'm not an administrator, I will not see this My Organization link. But I am, so let me go ahead and click on it and show you that here we are, Hopkins and Williams. We only have one user, that's me, right? And if I wanted to start adding new users, I could do that. I could click Add User Account and then start adding new users. Now this user may be an attorney and I don't know their Juris number. That's okay. They're going to be able to access their own profile and put it in for themselves. Here is where I can grant them administrative access. Okay. Now if you click on this little information icon here, and I'll do that right now, it will briefly explain what each can do, but I'm going to go ahead and close that window so you don't have to read, and I'll just quickly tell you. The company administrator will manage your organization's information. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Contact information and some other pieces. You can, as a company administrator, add users, update their information if they've locked themselves out of their profile for some reason. You can deactivate a user, right? So somebody's in your law firm, they're using TurboCourt, they then leave your firm. So you can't delete them because you need all of their records for reporting purposes, but you can deactivate them, which would mean they would no longer be able to log in to their account for your firm. All of their filings are there, all the details are there, but they themselves will no longer be able to access it. But anybody who is a filing administrator who has access to all of the filings would be able to access all of their filings, okay? Which is why you always need at least one filing administrator. Now let's say that person returns to your firm 6 months later. Well, you don't have to create a brand new account for them. You can simply reactivate them. Everything they previously did is now available to them again, and they can continue on. So it's a simple deactivate, reactivate kind of function, okay? That's all in the realm of the company administrator. Then you have a filing administrator. Filing administrators can see and access all of the filings across your entire firm. So if I'm an attorney and I'm creating and submitting filings, I can see my filings. They're mine. But I can't see the attorney's filings in the office next to me because they're his or hers filings, right? But a filing administrator can. Filing administrator can see everybody's filings, attorneys, paralegals, whoever you are, right? So you've got this sort of global view and access to the filings across your entire firm, a really helpful role. And you'll need to decide like who you want to give that access to. And there's a lot of advantages for people having that kind of access, but there's also the question of internal protocols and policies about who can see what and things like that, right? So that'll be an internal decision. I'll just explain the functionality to you. And then you've got the financial administrator, which is not pertinent during the pilot because there aren't any financials yet, no paying of fees online. But once that comes online, the financial administrator can, similar to the filing administrator, can see all of the financials across all of the filings that have come through your firm's TurboCourt account. So regardless on who's filing on a case in your firm, the financial administrator can say, what are we paying in fees on this particular case? Or what have we been paying in fees for a particular client in the last year? You know, that sort of thing. So that's the financial administrator that'll come online in the next phase. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create this new user. And I'm initially creating a password for them. And when I click this add button, what's going to happen is this person is going to immediately receive an email from the system. It's going to include a link that will bring them to TurboCourt. It's going to include their username, which is the email address that you use to set them up. But for security purposes, this password that I'm first setting up for them is not included in that same email. So you'll want to give them their password separately so that that's, so somebody else doesn't grab that email. And let's go ahead and do that. I'll click add. And so there we go. I've got a brand new, our second user, and currently is designated as simply a user. Okay. And like I said, at any time as a company administrator, you can access all of your users' accounts right from this screen, the My Organization screen. And if I needed to go back to this person and I wanted to now make them a filing administrator, I can do that at any time and click update. Or maybe I previously made them a filing administrator and realized we shouldn't have done that. I can remove filing administrative access from that person. I can change their password. So if they've forgotten their password, and maybe they didn't set up a security question and answer to automatically recover their own password, or maybe they did and they still forgot that too. Basically, they're locked out. I can, as the company administrator, come in, change their password for them, give it to them. Now they can log back in and update their profile, okay? And here first is where I can make them inactive and then reactivate them if need be, okay? All right, so for the remainder of the company administrator functionality, I'm going to log out as this brand new user. I'm going to log in as a firm that has more users and more functionality so I can actually walk you through other pieces of this. And then we'll start creating some filings. So right now, I'm going to log in as an attorney who also happens to be in the administrative roles. Okay. And you'll notice his home screen has additional information that we didn't see on that brand new user. I'll come back to that in just a moment. But I want to go back to the My Organization screen, and you'll see there are many users here, or at least several. And so again, if I needed to, I could come to Wayne's and say, oh, we really need him to be a filing administrator also. Click update, and now he's got that access level. It's as simple as that, okay? And so that's the Add User Account button, right? That's how you're going to be adding new users. Now, there's another button here for the company administrator called Edit Organization Info. I click on that, and this is where I can update information in terms of contact information, address, phone number, so forth, okay? Well, what I really want to bring your attention to is this courtesy notifications area, and specifically this first one, the notifications inbox. So I mentioned to you that as a filer, I'm going to be receiving status updates regarding my filings. We've received it, it's been accepted, things like that, right? The courtesy notifications inbox is a global inbox for your entire firm. So it's sort of an oversight role, or almost like a docketing clerk. And so in addition to the filers themselves receiving status updates for their filings, whatever email address you put in here, and you don't have to use this, this is optional, but whatever email address you do put in here, all the notifications, all the status updates for those filings will come into one global inbox. So you have somebody with an oversight of everything that's going on. So if you've got an attorney that went out sick, you've got somebody who has oversight and can see any status updates for their filings while they're away, as one way of making use of that, okay? So you can put in whatever email address you want for that particular inbox. Again, you don't need to use it, but a lot of firms find it really, really helpful to have somebody with access to all of those updates in an oversight role. The second inbox, again, is not yet relevant for this current pilot. It will be in a later phase. This is when you can electronically serve documents to other people. It's great functionality, by the way, so keep an eye out for it. And that'll be in one of the later phases. And so when that is implemented, your attorneys, you or your attorneys, may be getting e-served by other people, right? Other folks on these cases, and they receive notification like that you've been e-served. Again, this global e-service inbox is an oversight role where they also get all of these notifications for the entire firm. You can use the same email address for both inboxes, have separate email addresses, however you would like to use that. Okay? So that's the company administrator. Last thing I want to show you before we get into creating filings is how to get technical support. If you're ever needing technical support, this is going to be the fastest and most direct way to do so. And you'll notice this help button here at the top. Click on help, that'll bring you to the support area. And you'll click on this contact us link. And what you'll see is there's an area dedicated just for your Connecticut probate courts. So when I click on that, it scrolls me down to this area. And what you see is you can submit a help request. You've got direct, toll-free number, other phone number. Okay, this is absolutely the fastest, most direct way of getting technical support. Now, if you've got a court question, a process question, something regarding a filing, then that you're going to want to bring to or contact the court, the clerk's office, right? Because we're the technical folks. We don't handle the process questions. But don't bother them, please, with technical issues, right? That's not their bailiwick, right? So this is the contact number for technical support. And again, that's just by clicking on the help button and contact us. One other thing about your, as an attorney, the importance of your email address and that it matches the email address that corresponds with your Juris number. If you stay at the law firm that you're at, right, you're registered and all that, and everything's good, but for some reason you change your email address, well, now you're not verified anymore, because every time you go to file, we're matching what Juris knows about you and what we have. And if it doesn't match, we say, wait a minute, we're not going to let you do anything until we know who you are. So here's what you're going to need to do if you stay at the same law firm, but you change your email address. You're going to want to actually update it in Juris and e-services first, because they take about 24 hours for that update to go through. Okay? So you'll update it in the e-services system with where your Juris number is first, then come to TurboCourt and update your email address in TurboCourt in your profile, and then you'll be able to get verified again and go through, do whatever you need to do again. Okay? Okay, so let's talk about this verification, because it's really important. It's something you only need to do once, assuming you're not changing your email address. But until you've been verified, you're not going to be able to e-file, you're not going to be able to access your cases and documents electronically. So I'll speak about it and then I'll demonstrate it to you, okay? So as I've mentioned, attorneys need to verify their Juris number in order to e-file and access your case documents. And when you use, as an attorney, TurboCourt for the first time, you're going to provide your Juris number to TurboCourt. We are then going to electronically communicate with Connecticut's e-services system and say, here's the email address, here's the Juris number. Assuming those things match, they will return to you, and you're going to see all of this in just a moment, who they have on file with that Juris number and that email address, assuming they match. Assuming that's you, then you'll say, yeah, that's good. You'll say, yes, that's me, let's proceed. And we will send you an email with a verify link, okay? You'll click on that verify link in the email, and at that point, you're verified through TurboCourt and e-services, and you can do all the e-filing and electronic processing you're needing to. Okay, so you're going to just do that one time, but it's very, very important. And if the email doesn't match, you're not going to be able to do it. If the Juris number doesn't match, you're not going to be able to do it. Now, what about paralegals and legal assistants filing on behalf of an attorney? Well, you're going to do something similar. And again, I'm going to show you this in just a moment. When you go to file, now you don't have a Juris number, of course, but you're filing on behalf of an attorney. So you're going to have the opportunity to say which attorney at your firm you're filing on behalf of. we know whether that attorney has been verified or not, right? So if that attorney's already been verified, you're good to go. Just go ahead and file, and we know it's on their behalf. If they haven't yet been verified, then we're going to take you through that verification process so that you can get them verified so you can file on their behalf, okay? And like I said, I will be showing all of this to you in just a few moments, but I just wanted to speak about it in terms of concept. All right, so, and then as I mentioned, once the attorney is verified, they will immediately be sent in their messages inbox in TurboCourt a complete list of all of their open and closed cases. And if they've got emails set up in their profile, they'll get that email to them as well. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to demonstrate an attorney who is registered at our law firm, but who has not yet been verified. Okay. So let me quit as this filer, and now I'm going to log in as another attorney. Okay, so this is Carla, and as you can see, there's not much going on here at the top of her screen because she hasn't been creating any filings yet. And I will come back to that, what you saw on the top of that screen in just a little bit. And so I'll just go to her profile just to show you. So this is Carla, she's an attorney. Her access level currently is as a user, okay? All right, so let's say she needs to create a filing. She needs to initiate a new case, or she needs to file some documents into one of her existing cases. So as long as she's in Connecticut, she'll see this probate court e-filing and click Start Now. And then you're going to indicate which of the 5 pilot courts you want to file into. There's actually, for purposes of today's training, there's actually a 6th court, which I'm going to be using this Northern Fairfield one. It's actually not part of the pilot, okay? But the technical folks have put all the cases in there so we can demonstrate and train and things like that. So just so you know, this Northern Fairfield is not part of the pilot, but the other 5 that are listed here are. Okay, so you'll select where you're going to be filing, and then you'll click Next. And so you've got 3 choices. You can say, I'm starting a new case, I'm filing into an existing case, and you have this 3rd option about requesting e-filing access. I'll come back to that a little bit later on. So let's say she wants to start a new case. So she clicks on that choice, and there's a checkbox here that says, check here if you are an attorney. She is, so she checks the box. She clicks Next. And we know, TurboCourt knows that she hasn't yet been verified. So she will see this. And essentially what she needs to do is enter her Juris number. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I will click Next. And sure enough, the email address that she's registered with and that Juris number match. And this is what the e-services system has on file for that combination of Juris number and email address. She says, yeah, that's me. And at this point, and you can read all of this, but at this point, all she needs to do is click Next, and she will receive that verification email. And let's do that right now. So I click Next, and it basically tells her that an email has been sent and to click on the verify link. If for any reason she doesn't get that email, or she inadvertently deleted it or something, she can have the email resent to her, okay? So let me quickly open up my email.
Oh my God.
And there you go, Connecticut Probate Court e-filing verification. Click on that. And there's my verify link. All right. I click on it. Great, I'm done. I've been verified and I don't have to do this anymore. And now I can proceed. If I click next and I haven't clicked on that verify link yet, like if I try to, bypass it, it won't let me. It'll stop me and say, hey, you need to verify. But it knows now that I clicked on that link, and so I can click next, brings me to this introduction page, which is basically the start of preparing my filing. That's it. She's verified. She doesn't have to go through that anymore. And if there's a paralegal or a legal assistant that's filing on her behalf, and they say, hey, I'm filing on behalf of Carla, system knows she's been verified. They're like, great, they'll bring you right to the introduction page. What do you need to file? Okay. Okay. So let's take a look at this from the perspective of the paralegal. Okay. So I'm going to pause there, quit that, start a new session. And now I'm logging in as a paralegal. Looks like he's been already creating some filings. So this is Douglas, he's a paralegal at our firm, and he's been asked to do some filings for an attorney. So goes through the same process, click start now, selects where he needs to file, says I'm starting a new case, I'm filing into an existing case, whatever that happens to be. He's not an attorney, so he doesn't check that box. He clicks next. And so now we will show him all of the folks registered in your firm, who is he filing on behalf of? Okay. So if he selects Carla, who was just verified, and clicks next, it's like, good, what do you need to file? Nothing more to do there, right? But let's go back and have him select an attorney who has not yet been verified. Wayne. Wayne has not yet been verified. I click next as the paralegal, and the system says, wait a minute, Wayne hasn't been verified yet. So please enter Wayne's Juris number. So the paralegal will enter Wayne's Juris number and click next. Actually, let's go ahead and do that right now. They found it. Yep, that's our Wayne. But the verification email goes to Wayne. It's his email address, not the paralegal's, right? So when I click next, the verification email will be sent to Wayne. If, as the paralegal, I have access to Wayne's email, I can open that verification, click on verify, we're good to go. If I do not have access to Wayne's email, then I need to go to Wayne and say, Wayne, in order for me to file for you, I need to verify you. Please click on that verification email. Once he does, then you can come back to this screen, click next, and you're good to go. And again, you're only doing that one time, right? Because each attorney only needs to be verified one time. If Wayne's out to lunch, no pun intended, you can come back and do it later. The verification email's already been sent to him, so just have him click on the link. Then you can come back and say, okay, now I need to file on behalf of Wayne. Okay? So we're not going to verify Wayne because we're just not. All right. So any questions about that verification piece, the attorney doing it versus and the paralegal doing it? It's actually pretty straightforward. Okay. One other piece about your if you're an attorney and you've been verified and you're filing in for this firm, for your firm, and you leave the law firm, you'll be, the company administrator will of course deactivate your account, so you won't be able to access it anymore. If you go and work, you continue filing, you stay in that field, and you need to start filing. Let's say you go and work at another law firm. Well, then you're going to get the company administrator for TurboCourt at that new law firm will add you as a user, right? You'll have a new email address in all likelihood. In any event, you'll need to go through that verification process again, because it's from the system's standpoint, you're a completely new person. They need to know who you are to verify you again. Also, just so you know, if you've left the firm and again, your account is deactivated, but you've got, of course, all of these cases and filings in TurboCourt, that, again, is where you need a filing administrator to be able to have access to them, okay? All right, let's start creating some cases, shall we? I'm going to take you through case initiation, filing documents to start a brand new case. I'll also show you how to file into an existing case. All right, so I'm going to log back in as Anthony. He was the one that had all these different filings going on. He's also an administrator. And so let me now speak to what you're seeing here at the top. If you are somebody who is creating and submitting filings with TurboCourt, you're going to see something like this when you first log in. This is your home page. What we're showing you here are your 5 most recent filings that you've been working on. So each one of these rows represents a unique filing. Now, they may be on the same case, they may be different cases, but these are the 5 most recent filings I've been working on. And we also refer to them as form sets, okay? So those are synonymous terms. In the world of TurboCourt, a form set and a filing are one and the same thing, okay? And we're giving each one of these filings, each one of these form sets, a unique number, okay? That's not your case number, that's your form set number. And so you always have something you can use for tracking purposes if you're looking for something. If it is an existing case, so some of these filings I see were filings into an existing case, it'll show you the case number. This last one apparently is case initiation. No case number has been assigned yet. Submission name is essentially created by the system. And then for now, it's always going to say probate court as your filing type, and then whatever status that filing happens to be in. And I'll talk about the statuses in just a little bit, okay? So if I wanted to look at or work on any of these 5 most recent filings, all I would need to do would be to click on that form set number, and it'll open up the filing for me. I can see what's going on, I can continue working on it, access documents in it, whatever I need to do, okay? You can, of course, access all of your cases and all of your documents, and I'll show you that as well. This list all gives you a search screen that gives you access to all of them, but we want to show you the 5 most recent so that you can just quickly go to what you need to continue working on, okay? This indicator tells me that I have 10 inbound messages that I have not yet read in my inbox, right? So I have some filings here that were delivered. I'm already receiving status updates as to what's going on with them. And if I haven't read them in my inbox, it's going to show me that here, 10 new messages. You'll also see in that user menu where that messages link is that same number, however, whatever number that is. And so if I were to click on either that messages link or this number 10 here, it will bring me to my messages inbox. It's going to show me the form set it's pertinent to. If it is, the case number, I can click on any of those messages and see what the court is telling me. And then, as I said, later on, you'll be getting other messages that the court is simply sending you. An order was posted to this case. Here's a new notice, things like that, okay? So that's your messages inbox. Just going to click on my home button here and return. Okay, so we're going to initiate a new case. And to do so, I simply click Start Now, select where I need to file. I'm going to say I'm starting a new case. Notice that there's no checkbox at all to say whether I'm an attorney or not. Because Anthony's already verified, we already know he's a verified attorney, there's no point in asking that question, right? And you'll see that there's a lot of subtle variations in what you see on screen based on the conditions that you're meeting in any given time. We try to design TurboCourt with Connecticut's rules and the way of doing business so that as much as possible, we alleviate the possibility of you screwing up a filing, right? So that you don't get it rejected or, you know, have a long delay in the court processing it. So, you know, if we left that checkbox there and you checked it, or you said you're not an attorney, but we already know you're right, it's just going to screw everything up, right? So we try as much as possible to alleviate those situations, which is why sometimes you'll see something on a screen that you didn't see before or vice versa. Just trust that, just follow along with what's presented on the screen because it's exactly for the situation that you meet in that moment, okay? So I'm starting a new case, great. I click next, the introduction. basically is the beginning of this process. And when you're creating and submitting filings, it's a very simple 3-step process. And this is true whether you're doing case initiation or whether you're simply filing existing documents into one of your, documents into one of your existing cases. Same process, and it's 3 steps. Step 1, you answer a few questions. Step 2, you attach your documents. And then step 3, you electronically submit everything. That's it, okay? And again, right now in the pilot, there's no paying fees online, but later on in the next phase when there are, that step 3, when you electronically submit, will include your ability to pay online electronically, if that's appropriate, okay? So answer some questions, attach your documents, and then electronically submit. So I'm gonna go ahead and click next. And for now, the only option you've got is decedent estates, but again, that will expand. Click next. By the way, every single time I click next on any of my TurboCourt screens, it automatically saves everything I've done, okay? So if I, at this very moment, got pulled away from my desk and, you know, emergency meeting for 3 hours or something like that, it's not a problem. Like, it saved everything, right? So the next time I come back to TurboCourt, I can continue from home, whatever that is. It knows what I've done up until that moment, and I can just continue, okay? All right, so because I'm initiating, you must file an appearance of attorney. We will establish a placeholder for you to attach that document and make sure that you include it so that, again, the court doesn't have a reason to either delay the processing of your filing or potentially reject it because you're missing something vital that they need. So this is just a note to you saying, hey, you're going to need to attach your appearance of attorney because I'm initiating. Clicking next, I indicate what's the first document I'm going to be filing to initiate this case. And as you will see from this drop-down list, there is a very nice long list of documents, all sorts of things, okay? I'm going to go ahead and select this PC200, Petition Administration of Probate or Will, and look what happens. You are told, well, because you're filing this PC200, the court also needs the CI, the confidential information document associated with that. So another required placeholder will appear when you go to attach your document saying you need to attach the CI as well, okay? So you don't forget it. If you want to attach other documents, you simply check this box saying I've got more documents to attach. And when I click next, it says, okay, what's your document number 2? And for that, I'm going to select this affidavit in proof of will and/or codicil. Notice that there's no additional requirements for that PC210. Okay, so you can select up to 10 documents in this one filing, plus your appearance, so that's 11. And if your 10 documents trigger the court saying, hey, we also need some more documents, in theory, you might have 10 more documents. It's not likely to happen, but just so you know, in theory, you might have 21 documents in a single filing. But you yourself can indicate up to 10 documents in this filing, and because it's initiation, it'll be plus your appearance. The appearance doesn't count against your 10, okay? Now, when it comes to things like the will, the codicil, right? The court will need hard copies of those. So you could electronically submit those, but the court still requires for those certain documents the hard copy, okay? And I don't know if there's questions about that. I'm sure Heather will be more than happy to answer those. Okay. Yeah, the death certificate, things like that. Okay. So let's say that's all I'm needing to file right now, those 2 documents. I click next, and that's it. I'm done. I finished the answering the questions portion, step 1. TurboCourt analyzed everything that I just did, and it's done the following. It has set up placeholders for me to attach my documents. There's the appearance of attorney that I need to attach. There's the PC200 I said I'm going to be attaching. There's the 200 CI that the court said, hey, we need this also. And here's the PC 210 for me to attach. Okay, so in this initiating filing, I'm going to be attaching 4 documents. Let's take a look at the current status of what's going on with this form set, with this filing. Currently, the status is called completed. Completed means I finished step 1. I answered the questions. If I was pulled away from my desk in the middle of that, and I didn't finish answering the questions, the status of this filing would be called incomplete. Makes sense, right? Once I attach my documents and successfully submit them to the court, it will change from completed to delivered, okay? And then once the court accepts my filing, it will go from delivered to e-filed. Okay, so those are really the 3 key statuses that you're typically going to be working with and seeing, from completed to delivered to e-filed, okay? And e-filed is when all the magic happens, because then you're going to get access to court documents and the case documents and all sorts of messaging, okay? So, no fees at this time, but this is the area where it would show fees when that comes online in the later phase. Here again is your unique form set number, okay? And so let's go ahead and start attaching our documents. Now, if I've already created my appearance of attorney, I just need to attach it, right? So let's say whatever software you use, I've created it and I'm ready to attach it. And we'll talk about electronic signatures in just a moment. So if I've already done that, great. I simply click the attach link for that document. We already know it's the appearance of attorney. We already put that title and description in the name for you. If you want to edit that name, you can, but it's already there for you. And now I'm simply going to choose my file. And let's go to all of my documents. There's the one that I've already created. Notice PDF is the file type that it must be. Okay, so if you've got a Word document, you've got to convert it to PDF, and there's free software you can do that with. Or, you know, scan it as a PDF, that sort of thing. And then once you've attached it, click Save. We'll make sure it's a valid PDF file, and there it is. So you can't take a Word document and simply rename it .pdf. That doesn't work. If you try that, we'll reject it, and we will reject it so that the court doesn't reject it, right? Again, we're going to do everything we can up front to alleviate you having that situation with the court. So I like to call it a clean filing, that when you click submit to the court, it's clean, and there shouldn't be any technical reasons for them to reject it. Okay, so now that I've attached my appearance, that link went from attached to edit. And if I click on the edit link, I can change that title or description if I need to. I haven't submitted it yet, so I can change that. Also, let me just close that for a second. There's a view link, and if I click that view link, it'll open the document I just attached. I can make sure I actually attach the right version, right? I might have multiple versions of this, right? So I open it up and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's not the right version. Okay, so I'll click edit, and I'll simply choose a different file, and we'll simply remove this previously attached file and replace it with the new one that you're attaching. Okay. Oh, and just a heads up, a strong recommendation, which is, you know, let's say you've done, you know, your PC 200 or something like that, and you've attached it, and then you look and you realize, oh no, that's the wrong version, or you've attached it, it's good, but then you realize you need to make some changes to it, right? I highly recommend that unless you have those changes ready to go, click remove and take it out of your filing, because you may forget you haven't replaced it with the new one and then submit it to the court, and then you've got all those issues you have to deal with, right? So that's what the remove link is there for. It's like, yeah, I've got it, we're good to go. Oh, wait a minute, I need to make some last minute changes. Just remove it, because you won't be able to submit the filing when it's not there. So save yourself the headache. Okay, what if you don't have this document already prepared, or you'd like to do it like some assistance, if you will? You'll notice that each of these documents has a link. This actually goes right to Connecticut's most current form version of each of these. And so if I were to click on this PDF link, for this PC200, it's going to bring me a fillable form. Okay. I could fill it out, save it, and then with the exception of getting my digital signature on there, it's ready to go. Okay. So let's talk about signatures and digital signatures. There's a couple different ways you can get a signature on these documents. Right, signature of attorney, signature of the petitioner, things like that. So I could fill this out, save it, of course. Then I could print it, sign it, scan it, upload it. Right? You could do that. But personally, to me, that's way too much work. So I want a faster way to do it, and so I'm going to do this electronically. And so there's different software that's available to you where you can digitally sign these PDF documents. And one of them is an Adobe product that's free. You can just download it and start digitally signing your documents. So I'm going to demonstrate that to you, and then I'm going to have Heather talk more about what's going on with the state and digital signatures and timing and things like that, okay? So once I have opened this file, and I'm going to go ahead and close it to kind of show you where, start from the beginning here. So if I click on this PDF link, it brings up the form, and I can download it to my hard drive, to my network drive, wherever I need to. Now it's on my computer, and I can fill it out, save it, do whatever I need to do with it, right? So that would be one way. Another way is I could also just right-click, at least in the world of Windows. I can right-click on that link and just say Save Link As, and it's going to immediately say the PC200, where do you want to put it? Okay, so that would be another way of doing that. Okay. Okay, so I just did that. So here is, oops, I keep doing that. Not what I want. Okay. So here is my PC200 that I just saved. Okay, there it is. Now, with this Adobe DC product that allows me to digitally sign, I can simply open this PDF with that, Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. By the way, I actually installed this software and used it like just before these trainings. I had never used it before. It's really simple. So here's the form. I can fill it out however I need to. And notice on the right, it says fill and sign. When I click on that, it shows me sign here at the top. And when I click on that, let me get rid of that because I already did one, it allows me to add my signature. So when I click add signature, it's going to give me some options. I can type it, and that's creating a nice digital signature for me, okay? Or I can say, no, let me draw it, which for me is really hard. So, but if you want to get creative, go for it, because you don't have to do it every time. It'll save it for you. So if you want to do a nice script, that's great. That's not my bailiwick. So I'm going to just type it, and I'll click apply. And so there it is, right? And I can just scroll to where I need to put my signature. There we go. And voila, I've got a nice digital signature. Okay. So Heather, would you like to add some?
Or January 1st, 2020. Part of those proposed rules and procedure relate to e-filing and signatures. So under a revised Rule 7, there's going to be the ability to submit documents with an electronic signature on them. So whether it's the attorney's electronic signature or your client's electronic signature. And so it's very broad the way that the rule is written. I do encourage you to take a look at the rules just to get an idea of where we're going and if you have any comments on that. But for purposes of the pilot program, we are going to be issuing a memorandum authorizing you to use the electronic signatures consistent with the proposed rules. So that way we can test it and make sure that it is working properly. So for purposes of this small group, the group we talked to yesterday in Bridgeport, Shelton, Region 22, and then if anybody here practices in Norwich or in Colchester, they're also part of the pilot program. For those courts alone, you will be able to use electronic signatures. So whether it's this Adobe DC program or if it's a DocuSign type of program that you're working with your clients and going back and forth through email, fax, that will be sufficient for the court to accept those documents. The only documents that we need of an original signature on are the purported will, codicil, if any, and then the probate bond. I think Stephen alluded to that a little earlier. In those cases, if you have a PC 200 and you have the bond, you will get a notice, a little note in Turbo Court that says, deliver the original to the probate court. The probate court can't act without that original will, so it's important to get it to them as quickly as possible. Even if you e-file it, the court can't act on it because they need to look at it and see the original will. There's also going to be some other changes that might surprise you in the proposed rules. A big example would be death certificate. The word certified copy no longer appear in the proposed rules of procedure. So again, I do encourage you to take a look at those rules, and as you're going through this process, let us know your thoughts on what works, what doesn't, or if you have any ideas that we can supplement them and make things better. But does anybody have any questions on signatures with this? Cool.
Yeah. So if we're, will this work with third parties?
Yeah, I mean,
George stepped out. I believe so.
yeah, well, basically, from on your side of things, if it's a valid PDF, then Adobe DC will open it, regardless of what created that PDF.
And then, what do we need as documentation that the fiduciary allows us to do?
That would be whatever your attorney feels is necessary. The rules of procedure will allow for it, and as long as it's any other signature, as long as the client intended that to be their signature, it's their signature. The one thing that you won't be able to do is sign on behalf of the client if the document is required to be signed under penalty of false statement. So any of your petitions, your tax return, you can't sign on behalf of your client. Motion for continuance, those types of things you could. Go ahead.
Assuming we get client signatures for a moment on things that client. So I submit a plea anymore. I can do in superior court. I can /S the Juris number. I can make up something like this for the year. I can scan it. I can physically say scan it. I can use it for my things. I can do kind of whatever I want.
I would stay away from the conformed signature with the S/S. I would just use your signature. I might also stay away from Juris number and just trying to use that as your signature.
But my Word document for my plea, when I type up my motion for example, I can make a pretty font that says my name just like this. And
you typed it. You typed it and you intended it to be your signature. That is an electronic signature. Yes. But make sure you use a pretty font. So I think just slightly different from Superior Court because there's other things, and for anybody who has practiced in Superior Court, there's other things that you're doing in Superior Court that helps with security and what have you. So I would recommend staying away from the conformed signature where it's just typewritten out, and then I would stay away from the just using your juris number. More so because probate court, other than that verification that Stephen talked about earlier, juris number we don't really use very much at all. So I would try to stay with your name and intending it to be a signature. And we will be getting that communication. We're going to put something in writing. We'll get that communication out to all of the pilot attorneys and also let the courts know probably in the next week or so, and it'll go out to all of the pilot participants. Okay, then I'm going to turn it over to you again.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Okay. So now that I've filled this out and digitally signed it, I'm going to save it. So I have my signed copy. Save my copy. And I'm simply going to rename this signed. So I make sure I grab the right one. Okay. So back to my filing. So there's the PC200 placeholder. I click attach. I choose my file. There's my signed PC200 that I just prepared. Save that. And there you go, it's attached. And of course I can click view to make sure I really did grab the right one. Okay, so I'm just going to very quickly attach these other two. And so again, you'll always see, prior to you attaching these documents, you'll see the link for each one of them that will bring you that fillable form. Okay, so that's it. I finished step 2. I've attached my documents. Now I'm ready to finalize with step 3, electronically submit everything. Before I do that, I would click submit to do that. But before I do that, I want to bring your attention to some other functionality that will be helpful to you. And so take a look at the top of this screen. You'll see there's a number of buttons here. I want to bring your attention to these first 2 buttons. This very first one is called notifications. And when I click on that, there are 2 different areas. There's an email preferences area and a courtesy notifications area. Just very quickly, this email preferences area, it's showing you your current default setting in your profile. So if you were that person who said, no, please don't send me any emails, I'll just log in regularly, and it really is Friday afternoon and you're about to go on vacation and you're really not going to be logging in, and let's say this is case initiation, new client, that sort of situation, you can say, okay, just for this one filing, email me the notifications. Okay, so you can override your default profile setting for this one filing. Okay, so if that's helpful to you, you can do that. So that's the notifications button. And the other aspect of the notifications button, which is, I think, even more helpful, is courtesy notifications. You can have other people receive these status updates on this one filing. So if you're going on vacation, you might have co-counsel or your legal assistant or your boss or whoever also receive these email status updates just for this one filing. Okay? So you could put one or several email addresses in this line. If you put in several email addresses, just separate them with a comma. And then all of those folks will also get the status updates via email. Okay? So that is the notifications button here at the top of this screen. Then this second button, add keyword matter number. And you'll see here in the header area, there's a keyword matter number field. It's currently blank. There's an information icon, which if I click on, it explains it, but again, I don't want you to have to try to strain and read that. Let me just explain what this field is for. It's for you. It's for your firm. It's for you as a filer. It has nothing to do with the courts at all. So you can choose to use this or not, but it's super helpful for tracking purposes. If you use a client ID system, you put your client ID in here, and so now you can later on search for all the filings you did for that particular client ID. Or if you use some sort of a case tracking system, a case identification system, you can put anything in this field. It's alphanumeric, special characters, multiple words, right? So if I were to click add keyword matter number, and let's just say we use a client ID system at our firm, and this particular filing is for my client A-23456, okay? But, you know, I could use special characters, I could use other words, whatever I need, you know, however you do that. Click save, and now you've got that keyword matter number, and you'll see a little bit later on, we can search for my filings based on that field, based on that keyword matter number field, okay? Okay, let's go ahead and electronically submit this filing to the Connecticut court. So when I click submit, I'm agreeing to these terms and conditions. If I click on that link, I get to read all those terms and conditions. You lawyers might be fine with that. I'm personally not into it. So I'm just going to click submit. And notice the status shows filing pending. We are waiting to hear back. I really did just send this filing to Connecticut. I know we're in Connecticut, but and there you go. It has been processed. So we just sent this filing to this court. The court just sent TurboCourt back a message saying, okay, we've got it. We've got all the documents. We've got all the data. If there was financial information, it would be there, you know. You now have a delivered filing. Congratulations. There's a messages link, messages tab, if you will. And if I click on that, I see my very first message. And again, it's going to say whatever the court wants to say here. And I'll mark that as being read. Okay. Later on, there'll be more messages as they process this filing. If I requested email or text notifications, I would have gotten that same notification via email or text. Okay. I'm going to click on this filing details link, brings me back to it where we just were. So that's it. I'm simply waiting for the court to process this filing, hopefully accept it, right? So that it will then go from status delivered to e-filed. And that's ultimately what we're looking for. So let's take a look at an e-filed filing so you can see what happens when the court accepts your filing. Yeah. Sure, let's just take a 5-minute, use the restroom or whatever, feed your meters. So welcome back. By the way, for those of you that are here in this room, you know, it's a fairly small screen, especially for those of you in the back. And just so you know, this training session is being recorded, right? So we're going to be providing a link to George and the Connecticut folks, and he'll make the recording of the training. What's that? Folks, yeah, no, not the newspaper. And so you'll have access to the link of the recording, which when you look at on your computer, it won't be so small and glary, it'll be clear, right? So just so you know, and that not only for yourselves to be able to review any portion of it, but just share with your colleagues, right? This will be an easy way to get them up to speed as well. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to be creating over the next few weeks a series of targeted topic training tutorials. So the company administrator, here's what you do. The filing administrator, here's how you do that. You know, the registration, setting up your firm, here's how you do that. Certain other pieces will be in targeted segments, and in fact, they'll have more detail than we're covering in today's training, right? Because today we're giving you an overview of everything. But those targeted training videos, which will be short, will not only cover that specific topic, but it'll probably have some additional details where there's more to say. So just keep a lookout for that. I'm sure the courts will notify you when those are available, but also when you go to the support area, which is this, again, clicking on help, you'll also see that there's an area called videos and tutorials, and so they'll start to fill in an area for Connecticut tutorials. Not exactly sure of the timing, but over the next few weeks, and that'll keep growing as, you know, with the new phases and how to do the new functionality with financials and all of that, okay? So lots of support along those lines. Okay, so when we last left our filers on the island, they just submitted a filing and it was status delivered, and so now we are waiting for the court to hopefully accept that filing, which will change its status from delivered to e-filed. And so let's take a look at an e-filed filing. I'll come back to that. Just making sure I wasn't muted. Okay, that's not a good one for me to show you. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, great. So here is a particular filing. It's form set 65019. This is a filing that Anthony created and submitted. It has been accepted, hence its status is now e-filed. And so these are the documents that were included in this particular filing: his appearance and a landlord's inventory of possessions. Okay. If I click on the messages tab for this particular filing, 2 unread messages, that first one, right? Thank you for submitting your documents. And now there's a second message: your documents have been e-filed. Here's your case number. Here's the name of your case. Okay. And if he opted for email or text notification, he would have also received that via email or text. So let me show you that. I believe I've got some of those. So here's notification that it was delivered. That was one of the other filings I did. And here's a notification that my documents were e-filed. And so if I click on that, it's showing me my case number, case title, who filed it, my form set number, and the documents that were included in my filing. Okay. Here's the current header, documents e-filed. And so to the question about what's contained in the email, this is the subject line, and here's the content. Okay. Okay, so what happens when your filing is accepted and it goes to status e-filed, aside from the fact that you just successfully, filed into the court, is that you now will get access to the case documents on all of the court's case documents electronically on that case, not just yours, but everything the court has in their electronic docket on this case. So any filings from your firm on this case, opposing counsel's filings, court documents, judge's orders, it's all going to be available to you electronically, and it becomes available to you right away. So what you're going to see is, again, at the top of the screen, there's different buttons, and now there's a new button that appears called View Court Case Documents. That button only appears when your filing is in the status of e-filed. Okay, so if we were looking at this exact same filing when it was still in the delivered status, this button would not be here. But the moment it changes to e-filed, this button immediately appears. And if I click on this button, and I'm going to cross my fingers that we are connected live with them right now in their test environment, yeah, there you go. So again, this is not a full case, it's not a real case, but I just asked for the court to give me their electronic docket, and here are all of the documents in that case, okay? Now, these are clickable links because I'm allowed to view them. If you've got a confidential document or a sealed document or in some other way the court designates as it's fine for you to know that it's there, but you can't look at it, then it'll be in this list, but it will not be a clickable link. Okay? So for example, if I click on this appearance of attorney, now not only did I ask the court for the docket, now I'm asking them to give me their version of this form that I've filed or that somebody else may have filed. And so if there's stamps on the document, court stamps and so forth, whatever's there, it's going to be here in this document. Now, this, of course, is not a real document, but it will be, right? It'll be your filings, opposing counsel's filings, if there are any, or again, other court documents that may be stamped. Then I can print it. I can save it to my hard drive or my network drive, right? But it's instantly available to me, right? I don't have to wait for that order to be mailed to me or that notice, right? As soon as the court posts a document in this case, I'm going to get notified, and I can go to View Court Case Documents and see it instantly, right? It's really cool. All right, so from this screen where I'm looking at the View Court Case Documents list, there's a Filing Details button here at the top. That's going to bring me back to my previous screen. So there we go. I click on that. And so that's View Court Case Documents. Now, well, I'll get to that in a moment. So there's a couple different ways that as a filer, you can access this list, the case documents list, basically this View Court Case Documents button. You've just seen one way, which is that I've successfully filed into the case and the court has accepted it, and so its status is e-filed, okay? Because as soon as it goes to e-filed, I've got a View Court Case Documents button on that filing. Now, I may have other filings in this case that are currently in completed status and in delivered status, and even though they're on the same case, the View Court Case Documents button is not on those filings because those particular filings are not yet in the e-filed status, right? So you're always looking for the e-filed filings to get access to this View Court Case Documents button. So that's one of the ways that you can access the case documents. File into the case, have it accepted, and now the View Court Case Documents button appears on that accepted filing when it's called e-filed. What if you don't have anything to file into the case at the moment, but you still want to gain access to the electronic docket? Well, that's the other choice that you have when you first begin your filing. If you remember, and I'll show you this, there were three choices: case initiation, right, or file subsequent documents, or there was a third choice, request e-filing access. So that's your option for saying, hey, I don't need to file anything into the case right now, but I want access to all the documents. It's my case. And I'll show you that in a little bit. So that would be the other way to access the case documents. And this is true of attorneys and paralegals on their behalf. Maybe the paralegal needs access to all those case documents and they don't have anything they need to file. They can do this as well, okay? So I'll show you all of that. So let's take a look now at a subsequent filing into an existing case. Let me make sure I'm logged in as the right person. Yep, I'm Anthony. Okay, so I'm clicking Start Now. Guess I was in the middle of a questionnaire. That's okay, I'll start a new one. Selecting where I need to file. And this time I'm filing into an existing case. And again, it knows I'm verified, so no checkbox. Because I'm filing into an existing case, it needs to know what case number I'm filing into. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my case number. So several things can happen here, and I'll show you a couple of them. One is, I'm a verified attorney. That's a valid case number, and I'm on record with the court as being on this case. If I meet those criteria, it's going to let me proceed, right? But another possibility is, I'm a verified attorney, that's a valid case number, but I'm not on record as filing into this case. So that's one scenario. And then another scenario is it's not a valid case number, right? So in different scenarios, you'll get different messages, error messages, or alerts either stopping you or alerting you that something else needs to happen, okay? So again, sort of the rule of thumb, just follow along on screen with what's presented to you, and you shouldn't go wrong. So let's just say that I'm good to go here. That's my case. I've already been filing on this case. It should let me proceed. I click next. And there you go. It brings me to that introduction. I'm ready to create my filing. But let's just go back and let me put in an invalid case number. We can't retrieve this case. Case number may be incorrect. It may be a sealed case, but there's some issue here, and then I'll need to address it. Okay? So let's go ahead and proceed with filing into my existing case. Yeah, question. This is specific to, in this scenario, to whatever court you've selected. Right? Because we right. Yeah, I know. Sorry, it's a little faint there. But that, no, it's okay. I mean, that's the reason for selecting where specifically you're filing into. Yeah, great. Okay, so I click next with the valid case number. It lets me proceed. So I click next again. Once again, for now, it's just that category. And because I'm filing into an existing case, my three options are, I've already filed an appearance in this matter, so there's nothing more to do with regards to my appearance. Or I was appointed by the court in this matter. Okay, so again, I don't need to file a document associated with that. And then my third choice is, I will file an appearance with this filing. And again, we'll set up a placeholder for you to attach your appearance. Okay? Now, if you say you've already filed an appearance and you haven't, we can't do anything about that, but obviously the court's going to say, wait a minute, we need your appearance, right? And each court, I don't know how each court will actually will deal with that. But potentially on a court-by-court basis, how the clerks might respond to that, I don't know, but don't do that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, I've been filing on this case. I don't need to file my appearance again. And so I simply select that first choice, click next, and I'm right back to the what do you want to file, right? So I can select up to 10 documents. Some of those documents might require additional documents. It'll tell me. So for this one, let's just go ahead and I'm going to attach a PC 440 inventory. Okay, it's not requiring additional documents. And I don't want to file anything else. I just want to, it's a simple filing. I just want to file my inventory. So I click next. That's it, I'm done, right? Basically said, filing into an existing case, and here's the documents that I need to file, okay? And so once again, I've got a link. If I don't already have that inventory prepared, I can do it as a fillable, whatever I need to do, and then attach that document, submit it, wait for it to be accepted, and now it's been e-filed. And once again, as you see, there's no View Court Case Documents button here yet, but once it's gone from delivered to e-filed, and now it's in e-filed status, that button will then appear for this particular filing. Okay, so subsequent filing is real simple, very straightforward. I'm going to quickly, no, actually, before I show you a rejected filing, which hopefully won't happen, but it could, let's look at all of this from the perspective of the paralegal, because they essentially go through the same process, but you're doing it on behalf of the attorney. So there is that extra step. Okay, so let's log out as this attorney, and then let's log in once again as the paralegal. Okay, so Douglas is logged in. He's needing to do something on behalf of the attorney he works with. And so he clicks Start Now. He indicates where he's going to be filing into. And he's got all three options, just like the attorney did. He's starting a new case, obviously on behalf of the attorney, filing in documents into an existing case, or Douglas is requesting e-filing access also, because his attorney wants him to also have access to all the case documents. Okay? So those three choices are available. And once again, if he says, I'm starting a new case, he does not check the box that he's here, that he's an attorney. He's going to select, right, who the attorney is. If the attorney has been verified, there's nothing more to do. He just proceeds with creating the initiating filing. If the attorney isn't verified, as you saw previously, it'll ask for the juris number. Paralegal will put in your attorney's juris number. It'll show who would they have on record for that, right? Proceed next. The email for verification goes to the attorney. Once that gets clicked as verified, he can proceed with this filing. The paralegal can proceed, right? Same process if you're filing into an existing case. Choose that option. Oop, forgot the case number. Lots of safeguards so you don't mess it up. Okay, who are you filing on behalf of? All right, so if the paralegal says, I'm filing on behalf of Wayne, and I told you the location and I gave you the case number, and Wayne may or may not be verified, but if that's not Wayne's case, 180107, if he's not on record, then there's a potential issue there. And again, follow along with what is presented to you on screen. Okay. And then once again, the third choice, I'm requesting e-filing access. So this is that scenario where you don't actually have documents you need to file into the case right now. You just want access to the View Court Case Documents button. So those are your three options as a paralegal. And again, really the only difference is who are you filing on behalf of and have they been verified yet or not, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that I'm filing into an existing case. I put in the case number. I'm filing on behalf of Anthony. I already know he's verified and I already know he's on that case. I click next, a couple of clicks. And we'll just file an affidavit. That's it. Quickly attach it. Okay, good to go. So here I am, Douglas, the paralegal, filing on behalf of Anthony, and I'm filing an affidavit. Click submit, filing pending. Okay, we're good. Court has it. So whose filing is this? The answer is, from the Turbo Court's perspective, this is Douglas's filing. When Douglas logs in, it's his filing. 65073 is his form set. Okay? Now he did it on behalf of Anthony, of course, right? Because he needed to. He's not an attorney himself. But from the perspective of Turbo Court, when Anthony logs in and he's looking at his list of form sets of his filings, this one's not there. Not his filing. Somebody else filed it on his behalf. So Douglas will see this filing in his list of filings. Anthony will not. However, if Anthony is a filing administrator, he's got access to all of your firm's filings, and he can see what Douglas just filed for him. Actually go into the filing and look at it that way. So that would be one possibility. Okay, so if the attorney has also been granted filing administrator access, he can see everybody's filing, so of course he can see Douglas's filing. What if you don't want that attorney to be a filing administrator and seeing everybody's filings across the entire court? Well, as long as Anthony has access to that View Court Case Documents button, he's seeing all the documents in that case. And he's going to see the ones that Douglas just filed for him. He won't see it through the filing itself, but when he goes to View Court Case Documents, he'll see all those documents. Okay, so there's variations in terms of how you want to configure your users and what they can and cannot do and how to access things. Okay, so here's an interesting scenario. Let's say y'all register as of May 1st and you get your list of open cases, right? And so you're going to be able to access these documents electronically right? You haven't started filing yet, but you're going to be able to, in some way, be able to start accessing things electronically. And the attorney is asking the paralegal to file a bunch of documents. Great. Paralegal's doing it. Paralegal has e-filed filings. The paralegal has access to the View Court Case Documents button because it was the paralegal who has the e-filed filing. The attorney hasn't filed anything yet into the case. They actually can't access the documents yet, even though their paralegal can. So what do we do there? The attorney does that third option and requests e-filing access so that they can have that filing for requesting access with the e-filed status, which gives them the View Court Case Documents button. So let's do that. Let me just show you that. Because there's all these potential scenarios, right? I can't do it with Anthony because Anthony's already done that and the system's smart enough to say, hey, you already requested this. So I learned that yesterday. Let's try this with Carla. Don't think I did this with Carla yet. Okay, so she's an attorney. She hasn't yet filed into this case, so she doesn't have access to the case documents. And she doesn't have anything she needs to file into this case at this point in time, but she wants access to the case documents electronically. So she chooses this third option, requesting e-filing access. She puts in her case number. And so watch what happens at this point. By the way, she's been verified, right? So there's no checkbox to asking for that. So I'm requesting e-filing access. Here's my case number. When she clicks next, we automatically generated the form and we already sent it to the court for her. It says filing pending. Now it's been delivered. So there's really no questionnaire per se. You, hey, I need access. Here's my case number. And again, assuming that all jives with what eServices has on record for you, we're going to just automatically generate this form. I'll click view so you can see what just got generated. See if I can make that a little bigger. Request for e-filing access, who you are, right? Your case number, your juris number. That just got sent to the court. I didn't even have to hit submit, right? And once they accept this and it goes from delivered to e-filed, then that View Court Case Documents button will be here, and the attorney can now access all the case documents on their case, even though they haven't technically filed any documents in the case. What they did file was this document, which essentially qualifies as a filing into the case. Okay? Does that make sense? I just want to make sure that you guys follow that. So the attorney or the paralegal or both can do this. They can request e-filing access just so they can access the case documents. But you only need to do that if you yourself haven't already successfully filed into that case on some other filing, because that's going to automatically give you access to View Court Case Documents. And so when you look at your filings, log back in as Anthony, he has a bunch of filings. When you log in and you look at your filings, anything with status e-filed will give you the View Court Case Documents button for that case number. Okay? Okay, let's take a look at a rejected filing. I see he's got one here that was rejected, sad face. I'll click on the form set number because I don't remember what this is exactly. Okay, this looks like he was initiating. Got his appearance, petition, the CI, affidavit, and it was rejected by the court for some reason. So let's take a look at that messages tab. So I read the thank you for submitting your documents message, but now I've got a new message once they acted on it and rejected it. And again, this is going to say whatever the court has to say about it. So first of all, it's saying they were returned, and then whatever the reason, the clerk will type in a message as to why it was rejected. Okay? I'll give you one example. You attached the PDF, you didn't click view to look at it, and you didn't realize it, but it was like a corrupted PDF and there's like nothing in it. Right? So you filed a petition and there's nothing in it, you just didn't notice it, right? They're not going to accept that. Okay, so what do I do here from the perspective that I still need to file this, whatever these documents or document was, and it got rejected. I see the reason why. Okay, great, I can correct this. So you'll notice a button that appears on this particular filing called Copy for New Form Set. Okay, now this Copy for New Form Set button actually appears essentially on any of your filings, with the exception of the ones where you're simply requesting e-filing access. Because when you're requesting e-filing access, there's really nothing going on. You just say, hey, I need access. We generate a form for you and it gets sent to the court. But otherwise, you're attaching your own documents. You're answering some questions. You're attaching your own documents, right? So you've prepared something. It got rejected. All right, so I need to create a new filing so that I can submit the corrected version of it and hopefully have it accepted. So this Copy for New Form Set functionality allows you to do that faster. So rather than creating a brand new filing from scratch, all you need to do is click, and I'll show you this, all you need to do is click this Copy for New Form Set button, and we'll make an exact copy of your previous filing, minus the attachments. Then just attach the corrected documents and submit it. So we just saved you all the time of preparing that filing. So let's take this rejected filing. I'll click Copy for New Form Set. Now you can read, this all sort of explains how it all works, but really all you need to do is you click that button, now click Submit, then click Complete Your Filing. We already know where you're filing. We already know if you're starting a new case, or if you were filing into an existing case, it would show you that. It would already have your case number. We already know all of that, right? We made an exact copy of this filing. Everything is already answered for you, right? The documents right? It's all there. So essentially, I'm just walking through this to show you that it's all there. But essentially, when you click Copy for New Form Set, unless you need to change something in these answers, just jump ahead to Preview. Now you've got a brand new filing. It's actually a different form set number, okay? And now it's like, okay, attach your documents. Try again, basically. Yeah? So that just saves you all the time of having to create the filing from scratch. Okay? So you can actually use that Copy for New Form Set functionality anytime you need to. Like, you don't have to wait for a rejected filing. If you have a certain type of filing that happens over and over again and only a few details have changed, or different documents, just find the one that's close to what you need to create, copy it, and then just attach the, just say, oh, this time I'm attaching this document instead of that one, right? So if it's a time saver, play around with it. It can be very helpful. Okay. I talked about case document access already. And again, that distinction as to whether or not you successfully filed into a case, and so you've got view court case documents on that e-filed filing, and if you haven't, then you request e-filing access and you access it that way, right? So let's talk about accessing all of your filings. So when you're on your home screen, when you first log in, who am I logged in as right now? Anthony, okay, great. You see your 5 most recent filings, but I want to see other filings of mine. You've got this list all link here at the top. It says list all my forms. And we use, again, these terms synonymously. So my forms, my form sets, my filings, that's all one and the same thing. On your user menu, though, you'll see this My Forms link. That is also going to access this search screen. So you can access any of your filings, okay? I'm going to log out as Anthony because he's an administrator. And I want to log in first as simply a regular user. So this could be an attorney or a paralegal, doesn't matter. But this is somebody who, from the Turbo Court's perspective, is simply a user, not an administrator. Okay? And so when I click on My Forms, I have a screen with lots of fields that I can use to find my filings. By default, we'll automatically put in a date that's 30 days back from whatever today's date is, so I'm immediately already looking at 30 days worth of filings. But you may need to filter this. You may want to look for filings based on a particular case number, right? Or a very specific form set number. Or if you use that keyword matter number, right, to track cases or clients, show me everything I filed on behalf of client number 1234 in the last 30 days, or all of last year, right, whatever that might be. I'm logged in as Carla. I'm a user, so I'm only able to access my filings, right? So here again, the distinction between being a filing administrator or not. So if I'm an attorney and I'm Carla, I'm logged in, I'm seeing my filings, that's it, because I'm only a user. If I'm the paralegal and I'm just a user, then I'm seeing the paralegal's filings, Douglas's filings, right? Douglas is not seeing Carla's filings, even though he's filed on her behalf, because they're not his filings. So we've got that sort of wall, that separation. And what distinguishes that ability to see other people's filings is whether or not you've been granted the filing administrator role. So let's take a look at what that is like, because Anthony is a filing administrator. So he's going to have the exact same search screen with one addition. I guess that technically means it's not exactly the same. Okay, he clicks My Forms, same fields, except the filing administrator has another option. By default, you're already looking at everybody's filings across the entire firm. And he can say, I need to find Douglas's filings, plus whatever these other criteria are that I want to look for. What has he filed for me in the last week? What has he filed for me on case number so-and-so? What has he filed for me on behalf of client number whatever, right? So you've got lots of great options here. And whatever search result you get, you have a few things you can do here. This search result, there's 17 filings I'm looking at right now. So each row, again, is a unique filing. Maybe on the same case, but they're still unique filings. And just so you know, these are sorted by default on the form set number. So the most recent form set number will be at the top here. But I could resort this on case number, for example, and put them together that way, or who created them. If I'm looking at everybody's filings, I could sort it based on who created them, however I need to. Okay. If I want to look at any of these filings, again, as always, I can click on the form set number and actually look at the filing, even though it's not mine. So here's a filing that Carla did. It's in delivered status. I want to take a look at it. Well, it's a request for electronic access. That's not too exciting. Let's see. Here's one of Douglas's filings. This one here. See what that's all about. Status delivered. I'll click on that form set. All right, great. He filed an affidavit and proof of will on my case, right? And I can click view and actually see the document or documents, if there's more than one, that he submitted to the court, even before they've been accepted, right? So I can do this because I'm a filing administrator. So there's a lot of great functionality here. And you also have to realize that he's not only getting access to his paralegal, he gets access to the filings across your firm. So again, you're going to have to work on internal policies and protocols if you grant somebody filing administrator access. Okay. So you can also export this list. So if you do a search for all the filings we did on behalf of client AB, 1234, and you get a list of all of these filings, you can export that search result to an Excel file format. And then anything that reads Excel, Google Sheets, basically everything reads Excel these days. And now you can subsort it based on cases and clients and whatever you want to do. right? So if that's helpful, you can always export your search result to Excel. Or, as I said, dig into the filing by clicking on it. And so this is also where, in addition to those other criteria I mentioned, searching based on status is really helpful for managing your workload. Now, you'll see here there's a lot of statuses in TurboCourt. Most of these are not at all relevant to you. So the statuses that I've already mentioned, there's really 5 that are most relevant to you. And the 3 main ones are completed to delivered to e-filed, right? You might have incomplete if you didn't finish answering those few questions. You might potentially have rejected, right? But those are the 5 main ones. And so let's say, you're busy, you're working on a lot of filings, you're creating a lot of documents. So you've got a number of filings that are in process, you haven't submitted yet to the court, and you don't remember the form set number. And it wasn't one of your 5 most recent because you've been creating lots of filings. Well, you don't have to remember that form set. Just search for recently completed filings. Okay. And then let's say, yeah, this is the one I've been working on, this case initiation. And so click on that form set. And, I finished preparing all the documents. So now I'm ready to attach them, right? I answered all the questions, but maybe I didn't have all the documents ready. So I'm going to work on them over the next couple of days. I'll come back, say, okay, show me my recently completed filing because I don't remember the form set number. I found it, and now I'm ready to attach my documents and submit it. So by doing a search for your completed filings, that's a great way to manage your workload. What else do I need to do to submit? What else am I working on before I submit to the court? Recently delivered filings. You're so busy, you don't even remember all the things you filed, and you're wondering, am I still waiting for the court to process any of my filings? And which ones? So look for recently delivered filings that the court is still working on, okay? And then, of course, if you search for e-filed filings, again, any of your e-filed filings will give you access to the View Court Case Documents button for that case. And so this is one of those ones that you'll probably be doing a lot. Just search for an e-filed filing on a particular case number, and any of those filings will get you that View Court Case Documents button. And again, this applies to both attorneys as well as paralegals. Any questions about that functionality? Okay. So there's always more to show. It's a pretty robust system, but that really covers the nuts and bolts of getting you up and running and started with TurboCourt.